Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the 2025 Chevy Silverado 1500. We've got a great review here from U.S. News and World Report. And whether you're thinking about buying a truck, or just want to keep up with all the latest models, or maybe you're just fascinated by these American workhorses, we're going to cover all the most important stuff you need to know about this Silverado 1500.
You know, one of the things that's so interesting about this truck is how it manages to be both big and surprisingly agile at the same time.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the things that the review highlighted. They were impressed by just how easy it is to maneuver, even considering its size. And it sounds like the light steering plays a big role in that.
Exactly. That light steering is really key to making it feel nimble, especially in those tight spots. But as the review points out, there is a bit of a trade-off there. You know, you might not get as much feedback from the road, so some drivers might feel a little less connected to the driving experience.
So it's all about finding that balance between the easy handling and still, feeling the road. But speaking of feeling, let's talk about what's under the hood, because the Silverado has some serious power options.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Chevy offers a variety of engines to suit just about any need.
Right. You've got that base turbo 4 engine, which is probably a good fit for most everyday driving. And then there's the diesel, which is known for its fuel efficiency and torque. And of course, for those who just want to feel that raw power, Chevy offers not one, but two V8 engines.
It really shows how Chevy is trying to appeal to a really wide range of truck buyers, whether you're looking for fuel efficiency for your daily commute, or you need a truck that can tow like your boat or something. There's definitely a Silverado engine for everyone.
And speaking of towing, this thing can pull a massive 13,300 pounds. That's like towing a small elephant.
Well, to be precise, you're going to need a specific configuration to hit that maximum towing capacity. We're talking crew cab with the short box and
Yeah.
either the diesel engine or double cab with the medium box and the diesel.
Oh, and you'll also need the max trailering package. The max trailering package, what does that even include?
Well, it's basically a package of features that are designed to enhance the Silverado's towing capabilities. Things like upgraded cooling systems, a higher capacity rear axle, and a trailer brake controller are all part of it. So if you're planning on doing some serious towing, it's definitely worth considering.
So it's not just about the raw horsepower. It's about having the right equipment to handle those heavy loads safely and efficiently. But for those who aren't towing massive trailers, the other engine options still offer pretty respectable towing capabilities, right?
Oh, absolutely. Even the base Turbo 4 engine can handle between 8,900 and 9,500 pounds. The 5.3-liter V8 bumps that up to between 9,200 and 11,300 pounds when properly equipped. And the 6.2-liter V8, well, that one can tow up to 13,200 pounds. But again, you'll need that max trailering package for that.
So it sounds like there's a Silverado for pretty much any towing need out there. But let's shift gears a bit here and talk about fuel economy. For a truck of this size, some of the numbers are actually pretty impressive.
Especially with that diesel engine. You can get an incredible 23 millipm in the city and 29 millipr on the highway, so you can imagine cruising past those gas stations more often, thanks to that impressive diesel efficiency.
That's almost as good as some sedans out there. Okay, so the diesel is the fuel-sipping champ for sure. What about the other engines?
Well, the Turbo 4 gets up to 18 millipr in the city and 21 on the highway, and the 5.3-liter V8 comes in at 16 city and 21 highway. But just remember that if you opt for all-wheel drive, those numbers will dip a little.
And of course, for those who want to go all in on fuel efficiency, there's the all-electric Silverado EV, but we'll be diving into that one in a separate episode.
Now that we've talked about saving fuel, let's talk about,
Yeah.
what it's like to actually spend time inside the Silverado.
Okay, so picture this. You climb inside the Silverado. Now, depending on which trim level you choose, you're going to be greeted by a different interior experience. The lower trims are more work-oriented, with a very practical and straightforward design. But as you move up that trim ladder, things get a bit more refined, a bit more luxurious. Think more modern design elements, premium materials, kind of thing.
Yeah. You'll find comfortable front seats and good visibility all around. But one thing to note is that legroom in the back, particularly in the double cab, might be a bit tighter than you'd expect. So if you regularly have passengers in the back, that's something to keep in mind.
Good point. And speaking of space, the Silverado actually offers 3 different bed sizes. You got the long bed at 8 feet, a standard bed at 6 feet 6 inches, and a short bed at 5 feet 8 inches. And the bed size is tied to the cab style, so you'll want to keep that in mind when you're configuring your truck. But no matter which bed size you choose, the payload capacity is impressive. This truck is built to haul.
And to make that hauling even easier, Chevy has packed the bed with some really clever features.
Oh, it's like they thought of everything. You've got the power tailgate, of course, but then there's the multi-flex tailgate for added versatility. Plus, you've got a bed view camera for those tricky trailer hookups, LED lighting for those late-night loading sessions, and a spray-on bed liner to protect your investment. It's like a Swiss Army knife back there.
Speaking of value, that's another area where the Silverado really shines. U.S. News & World Report gives it excellent marks in this department.
So it's not just about how much you pay up front. It's about the overall cost of owning the truck over time.
Exactly. They factor in things like fuel costs, maintenance, and depreciation to come up with an estimated total cost of ownership. And when you consider all of that, the Silverado really delivers.
And the starting price is pretty competitive too, right? Only $37,000 for a full-size pickup truck.
That's right. Of course, prices go up as you move to higher trim levels, but each trim offers its own set of features and upgrades, so you can really choose the one that fits your needs and budget. But I think a sweet spot in the lineup is the LT trim. Get a lot of bang for your buck there.
That's actually the one I was eyeing. What makes it stand out?
Well, for one, the LT trim is where you start to see some really cool tech features. You get that awesome 13.4-inch infotainment system and the fully digital instrument cluster.
You know, our listeners appreciate a good dose of tech in their vehicles, and it sounds like the LT trim definitely delivers on that front. Now, while we're talking about things that matter, let's not forget about safety, especially in a truck this size.
That's a crucial point. The Silverado 1500 has a 5-star overall safety rating from the NHTSA, which is great news. However, the IIHS gave it more mixed results in their crash tests. It didn't perform as well in some categories.
So it's important to be aware of those nuances and do your research when it comes to safety, but overall it sounds like the Silverado offers a good level of safety. What about the standard safety features?
Well, as standard, the Silverado comes equipped with forward automatic emergency braking, pedestrian detection, and lane keep assist.
So you've got that basic layer of protection right out of the gate. But for those who want even more peace of mind, there are some pretty impressive optional safety technologies available too. Things like adaptive cruise control, a surround view camera system, and even reverse pedestrian detection.
Exactly. So you can really tailor those Silverado safety features to your individual needs and preferences. Now, speaking of peace of mind, how reliable is this truck?
Yeah, that's a big question. Nobody wants to be stuck on the side of the road.
Well, according to J.D. Power, the Silverado has a predicted reliability score of 80 out of 100. On their scale, that's considered average, so it's not the highest score, but it's respectable. It suggests that the Silverado should provide a reasonable level of dependability.
Good to know it's not likely to give you too many headaches down the road. Now I'm curious to hear what the expert reviewer at U.S. News & World Report thought about the Silverado. They seem to have a pretty positive overall impression.
Yeah, they were particularly impressed with the Silverado's ability to blend, rugged capability with a touch of luxury. They also liked the variety of engine options and the truck's overall versatility. But of course, no vehicle is perfect. They did have a few critiques as well.
Okay, I'm all ears. What didn't they love about the Silverado?
Well, they pointed out that the truck's size seems to be increasing with each new generation, which could be a challenge for some drivers, especially if you're navigating tight city streets or parking garages. They also noted that the ride can be a bit choppy, particularly when the truck is unloaded. And finally, they mentioned that if you load up the Silverado with all the bells and whistles, those fully optioned models can get pretty expensive.
All valid points. Now, no Silverado conversation would be complete without comparing it to its rivals. So let's start with the Ram 1500. How does the Silverado stack up?
Well, Ram 1500 is known for its luxurious interior and its smooth ride. But the Silverado has a clear advantage when it comes to towing capacity.
All right, so point for the Silverado there. What about the Ford F-150? That's the perennial bestseller, right?
It is. The F-150 is definitely a leader in towing and payload capacity. But the Silverado can definitely hold its own against the Ford. It all really just comes down to your specific needs and priorities.
So it sounds like the Silverado is a strong contender in the full-size pickup truck arena. It offers a really solid blend of performance, capability, comfort, and value.
And with its range of engines, trim levels, and options, there's pretty much a Silverado out there for just about everyone. But ultimately, the best truck for you is the one that best meets your individual needs and preferences.
That's right. It's all about finding the perfect fit. But before we wrap things up, I want to pause for a moment here and check in with you, the listener. What are your initial impressions of the 2025 Silverado 1500 based on what we've discussed so far? Are there any features or specs that particularly stand out to you? And what questions do you still have?
Yeah, take a moment to think about what you've learned. And when we come back, we'll wrap up this deep dive with some final thoughts and insights.
All right, we're back and ready to keep digging into this Silverado. Before we took that pause, we were talking about how the Silverado stacks up against the competition. It's a tough market out there. But it seems like the Silverado has some strong points in its favor.
Oh, absolutely. And, when it comes down to making a decision, it really boils down to your individual needs and priorities.
Yeah.
What are you looking for in a truck? What are your must-haves? And what are your deal breakers?
Yeah, it's like finding that perfect pair of jeans. It has to fit just right. Okay, so let's recap some of the key takeaways from our Silverado deep dive so far. We talked about performance and capability, and it's clear that this truck is a workhorse. It has a range of powerful engines from that efficient diesel to those gutsy V8s, and it can tow and haul with the best of them.
We also talked about how, despite its size, it handles itself pretty well on the road. That nimble handling is a pleasant surprise for sure.
Yeah, it's not just about brute strength. Then we stepped inside and explored the comfort and convenience features. The Silverado offers a pretty comfortable interior with good visibility, and those higher trims add some really nice touches that make it feel a bit more luxurious. And let's not forget about the bed. Chevy really loaded it up with practical features that make it super versatile.
And of course, we can't overlook the value proposition. When you consider the total cost of ownership, the Silverado offers a lot of truck for the money.
Right. And while that starting price is attractive, it's definitely worth exploring the different trim levels to find the one that best aligns with your needs and your budget. It's all about finding that sweet spot.
We also touched on safety. And while the Silverado has earned some mixed crash test results, it does come standard with a pretty decent set of safety features, and there are some more advanced options available as well.
So you've got options to enhance that safety even further. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. But I'm wondering, what does this all mean for you, the listener? Are you picturing yourself behind the wheel of this Silverado?
That's the real question, isn't it? We've unpacked the Silverado's performance, its fuel economy, its interior features, its value, its safety, and even how it stacks up against its rivals. But now it's time to apply all that knowledge to your own situation. Are you looking for a daily driver, a weekend warrior, or a heavy-duty workhorse? Do you prioritize fuel efficiency, towing capacity, or interior comfort?
It's all about figuring out what's most important to you in a truck. And speaking of options, we've mainly focused on the gasoline and diesel-powered Silverados today. But there's also the all-electric Silverado EV to consider.
Right. If you're looking for a more eco-friendly option, the Silverado EV might be worth exploring. We'll be doing a separate deep dive into that model soon, so stay tuned.
So many Silverados, so little time. Okay, to help you sort through it all, let's break down some of the key features and specs of each Silverado 1500 trim level. This might help narrow down your choices, depending on what you're looking for.
Sounds good. So starting with that base trim, the Silverado WT, which stands for Work Truck. As the name suggests, it's all about functionality. It comes standard with vinyl upholstery, a basic 7-inch touchscreen infotainment system, and a pretty limited set of features.
But it still gets the job done right. It comes standard with that turbocharged 2.7-liter four-cylinder engine, which we talked about earlier.
Exactly. It's a solid workhorse. Now, if we step up to the custom trim, you get some additional comfort and convenience features, like cloth upholstery, a 6-speaker stereo system, and remote start.
And you can opt for the more powerful 5.3-liter V8 engine if you need a little more muscle.
Now let's jump ahead to the LT trim, which we mentioned earlier as a potential sweet spot.
Yes, I'm still intrigued by this one, where things start to get a bit more tech-savvy.
The LT comes standard with a 13.4-inch touchscreen infotainment system, a 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster, heated front seats, dual-zone automatic climate control, and a lot more.
Plus, you can opt for that fuel-efficient 3.0-liter turbo diesel engine with this trim level, right?
You got it. Now, for those who prefer a sportier vibe, there's the RST trim.
Ah, the sporty one. So we're talking about some stylish upgrades here.
Exactly. The RST is all about looks, with features like body-colored trim pieces, LED fog lights, and unique 20-inch wheels. And it offers the option of that powerful 6.2-liter V8 engine, if you really want to add some serious oomph.
Okay, so we've got workhorse, we've got tech-savvy, we've got sporty. What's next?
Next, we have the Trail Boss trims. There are two options here, the Custom Trail Boss and the LT Trail Boss, both designed for those who like to venture off the beaten path.
I'm sensing an off-road adventure theme here.
Absolutely. Both Trail Boss trims come with a 2-inch suspension lift, Z71 off-road suspension, skid plates, and all-terrain tires. They're ready to tackle some rough terrain.
So if you're dreaming of exploring those rugged trails, the Trail Boss might be calling your name. But what if you're looking for something a bit more luxurious?
Then we have the LTZ trim, which is loaded with luxury and convenience features.
So we're talking high-end upgrades here. Like, what kind of features are we talking about?
Think leather-appointed seats, ventilated front seats, a premium Bose audio system, wireless device charging, and a whole host of advanced safety features.
Sounds pretty fancy, but if you want to go all out, there's one more trim level, right? At the top of the line?
That's right, the High Country trim. It's the ultimate in Silverado luxury and capability, with premium leather upholstery, heated and ventilated front seats, a power sunroof, a head-up display, and a full suite of advanced safety and driver assistance features. It's got it all.
So for those who want the best of the best, the High Country is where it's at. But we're not done yet. There's one more Silverado we need to talk about, the ZR2, the off-road king of the lineup.
This is the one for serious off-road enthusiasts. It's designed to conquer tough terrain, with a high-performance lifted suspension, front and rear locking differentials, Multimatic DSSV dampers, and 33-inch off-road tires.
Wow, that's a mouthful. It sounds like a beast. And there's an optional Bison package, right? What does that add to the equation?
The Bison package takes the ZR2's off-road capabilities to the next level. It adds even more protection and durability, with things like steel bumpers, skid plates, and AEV-designed wheels. So if you're planning on tackling those extreme off-road trails, the Bison package is definitely worth checking out.
So as you can see, the Silverado 1500 lineup offers a wide range of choices, from the work-focused WT to the luxurious High Country. And the off-road ready ZR2, it's really about finding the Silverado that aligns with your lifestyle, your needs, and of course, your budget.
It's all about finding that perfect match. Now, before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, I want to encourage you to take a moment to reflect on what we've discussed so far. What are your initial impressions of the 2025 Silverado 1500? Are there any features or specs that are particularly appealing to you?
And are there any questions that are still lingering in your mind? Jot those down. We'll be back in just a moment to wrap things up with some final thoughts and insights. Okay, we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the 2025 Chevy Silverado 1500. Hopefully you've had a chance to think about everything we've been talking about. We've gone from performance and fuel efficiency to all those cool interior features and even the super important safety stuff. By now you should be starting to get a real feel for what this truck is all about.
Definitely. You know, we've seen that the Silverado is a really capable truck and versatile, with a lot to offer. But it's important to remember that no vehicle is perfect. Even the Silverado has its quirks.
Right. We talked about some of the things that the U.S. News and World Report reviewers pointed out, like how the truck seems to be getting bigger with every new generation. That might be kind of a pain if you're trying to navigate tight city streets or trying to park in a crowded parking garage. And they also mentioned that the ride could be a little on the bumpy side, especially when the truck isn't carrying a load.
Yeah, and they said that if you go all out and add all the bells and whistles, those fully loaded Silverados can get pretty expensive.
True. And we should also remember that while the predicted reliability rating is decent, it's not the absolute best in its class. So we've covered the good, the bad, and everything in between. So the question is the 2025 Chevy Silverado 1500 the right truck for you? What do you think?
Well, ultimately, that's a question only you can answer. We've given you the information, the insights, and the comparisons. We broke down all those different trim levels and their features. Now it's your turn to take all that and see how it fits with your own needs and your priorities.
It's like trying on a new pair of shoes. You can read all the reviews you want, but you don't really know if they're the right fit until you actually put them on and walk around. So think about how you plan to use this truck. What kind of driving will you be doing most of the time? How much towing capacity do you really need? What features are at the top of your list? And of course, how does your budget fit into all of this?
Once you have a really clear picture of your must-haves and your deal breakers, you can narrow down those choices and zero in on the Silverado configuration that really works best for you.
And don't be afraid to do a little extra research on your own. Read more reviews, compare specs and prices, maybe even take a Silverado for a test drive. Get a feel for what it's like in the real world.
Buying a new truck is a big decision, so it's worth taking your time and making sure you're getting the right one for you.
Yeah, for sure. It's an investment. Well, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought. The world of trucks is changing really fast. And the Silverado is right there leading the charge.
Absolutely. We're seeing this big push toward electric trucks, tons of new technology, and more focus on sustainability.
Yeah.
All of that is shaping the future of trucks as we know them.
So as you're thinking about this 2025 Silverado 1500, you keep an eye on those trends and those innovations. They could really have a big impact on your decision.
Yeah, it's a really exciting time to be shopping for a truck. There's so much changing, and the options just keep getting better and better.
Well, that brings us to the end of our Silverado 1500 deep dive. We hope you found it informative and helpful. Maybe you learned something new, or maybe you just have more questions now. Either way, we're glad you could join us.
Until next time, happy truck hunting, everyone.
And happy driving!